We never have the option to not be black. We never have the option to decide when it's a convenient time to fight for the rights of black people. We never had that option. The so-called allies always have that option, and they consistently exercise that option. That's right. And if you don't believe me, let's just go back 2 years. Let's go back 2 years. Y'all remember 3 years ago now, this summer. Yeah, 3 years ago this summer. Y'all remember in 2020, after George Floyd was killed. Um, Hopefully I got my Facebook stream back up. If I'm up, somebody hit me up in the comment section. Um, After George Floyd was killed, y'all remember there was global, a global movement where people hit the streets, not just in America, but all over the world. I mean, they hit the streets all over the world. And when they hit the streets, everybody was marching. Everybody was an ally or claiming to be an ally. Um, Everybody was out there. Um, you had corporations, Fortune 100 corporations that was pouring money into black organizations so that they could feel like they were being altruistic and doing something to combat police brutality and anti-black racism. Um, you know, they were giving out millions of dollars. Um, Everybody was out there in the streets. It was a global thing that was happening. Now there were certain other dynamics that you have to consider that were going on during that time as well. Donald Trump was in office. There was a presidential election campaign in full swing. Um, you know, the Democrats were desperately trying to win the White House, trying to keep the House of Representatives, trying to get the Senate. They were desperate for the black vote. All of these dynamics were happening at the same time, and they were out there shoulder to shoulder with black folks out on the streets. Y'all remember that, right? Of course you do. Um, as soon as, and you may not like me saying this, but as soon as their preferred party got into the White House, and I don't know if Facebook is blocking my stream or something. They keep playing and taking it down, and the audience doesn't seem to be able to get back on. And for some reason, there is a concerted effort by these social media sites to stop the type of message that I bring on a daily basis. It's ridiculous. It really is. It's like they do it to me on Twitter. They do it to me. I told you they got me blocked on Instagram, where I can't stream to Instagram right now. They occasionally won't let me get on my Twitter Spaces, and then all of a sudden, 3 times this morning, my Facebook stream was cut off for no apparent reason. Um, it's crazy. It's like these folks are sitting up here. Okay, he's live now. Up. He getting too black now. Take the stream down. Now I can't even see my chat. I can't even see my chat. It's crazy, man. The way they try to censor Black Voices is absolutely insane. But they do it all the time. I did a whole show talking about how they censor Black Voices. Now, in the meantime, the trolls can get on social media and nigger you to death, and they don't say anything. They don't bother them at all. But then all of a sudden, Brother Swan gets on here, and now, they want to play with the stream. But okay, be that as it may, we continue to go on. So once their preferred party got in office, let me ask you, what has happened over the last 3 years? Have you seen those same allies in the streets? Did you see those allies protest when Congress refused to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act? Think about it for a minute. They were all in the streets protesting the murder of George Floyd, but they said nothing about them not passing the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Isn't that interesting? They wanted y'all to go out and vote for them in 2020, and you did. And you gave Democrats the House, the presidency, and the Senate. And then they refused to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And those same folks who wanted y'all to go out and vote, they didn't say nothing about that. They didn't protest. They didn't jump out in the streets then when they didn't pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Where were they? Where has all of that energy been now that their man is in the White House? Arsenio Hall used to say things that make you go, Think about it for a minute. Where have they been? Where's all of that energy that they had? See, that's the example I wanted to underscore of how they can opt in and opt out of the movement when it's convenient. When the Republicans are in office and we want to paint them as the only racist in America, we'll jump on the bandwagon with the black people so that we can make them look bad. Once we get our liberal agenda on deck, then we opt out of the movement until it's convenient to get back in it again. Think about it. Think about it. Where have your liberal friends been? Where have your progressive friends been since the 2020 protests? Have they called you up asking you if you're going to the city hall, if you're going here, if y'all still need them as an ally? Where they at? True words. You got the mic. Phone open 413-2781. 413-736-2781. True words, you got the microphone. All right, going once. Going twice. All right. Let's see who else we want to get up in there. Let's get Oz in here. Oz. You got the...
If you don't know what I heard from already. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I was looking at that shit, bro. I'm like,
the best album of 2023.
He said that wasn't true.
You got some feedback.
I just from the situation. Like
okay. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. Let me see. Let me take a phone call and get back to the Twitter space. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bishop Swan.
Yes.
Just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome.
But I listen to you every Friday and every Monday. And I thank you. I thank you for your courage. I thank you for your knowledge, dropping it all the time. And just thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm by your side.
All right. I appreciate you, sis.
I appreciate you. My love to the family.
All right. God bless. 413-736-2781. Let me get my man Terrain Walker from Hotlanta up in here. Terrain, you got the microphone.
Good morning, Bishop. How you doing?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing well, brother. Thank you for having this conversation, because it's a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah.
And it's one that we don't, like you said, we don't like to talk about. Absolutely, anti-Blackness is universal. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times some of our organizations allow that to fester, because I think we're still operating from this mindset that we grew up in with the 60s, that, you know, if we show love to everybody and we welcome and include everybody, then everybody will see our humanity and they'll love us back. Well, I mean, 50 years past the civil rights movement has shown that that's not the case. And look, every other ethnic group, every other gender identity, every other sexual identity, if they have organizations that work for them, those organizations are dedicated to working for them. Their agenda, no matter what they do or however they may partner briefly with other groups, always serves the agenda of that group. And Black people are going to have to start thinking politically inclusive with ourselves instead of trying to hug everybody, because nobody else does that for us. Anytime something happens, everybody can rely on anti-Blackness to further their goals. And Black people who are in these leadership positions in a lot of these organizations have to understand you have to have a Black first policy, and everything you do and every move you make has to be focused on Black people. Otherwise, you're just making yourself a Trojan horse for whatever everybody else's agenda has.
Yeah, see that, and that point right there, and people don't seem to understand, including Black people, when we talk about Black specific policies, they tend to get nervous because, we can't just say Black, but it's going to help Black people too. We always have to deal with these rising tide lifts all boats policies that will help Black people too, while other communities get to have their communities targeted and have policy that's specific for them. Why is that a problem when it comes to Black people, particularly among Black legislators?
I've actually spoken to some people who work in government about that, and there's this mentality that anything that's specific for Black people will never get passed, which is another issue. And I actually can respect somebody who says that, because then once you know that, then you can move accordingly. We have the power to vote with our wallets, as well as withholding our vote for people who don't do things for us. And we have to start thinking strategically and get out of this sort of like amorphous hippie thing that we brought over from the 60s, that we just hug everybody and imagine a world where everybody's all peace and love like John Lennon, but that's not political reality. We have to get strategic about how we move.
And see, I get that. I get when people say that, but my problem is, why then aren't you challenging your colleagues when it comes to, we can't pass legislation if it's got the Black label on it, but you can pass it if it has any other label on it? Those same people, the example that I always use is when they said there was an uptick in hate crimes against Asians during the pandemic, and they passed a law that and when you read the preamble and everything to the law, it clearly specified Asian American and Pacific Islanders, and hate crimes for Asians, according to the FBI, increased in that 1 year period from 159 to 280. It went up by 100 and something hate crime. In that same period of time, hate crimes against Black people increased from 1,900 something to nearly 3,000. but they got a specific law targeting them. And so my question is, why aren't these legislators and people in particular positions questioning these folks that are in office that are supposed to be their allies? That why can't we pass something black specific? And why can't they lobby to say, you know what, until y'all pass this black specific legislation, we're going to hold out on other legislation? Because that's what other people do all the time.
Absolutely right. I think it's because so many of our legislators, if we look at the age range, a lot of them were voted in coming off the heels of the civil rights movement from the 60s and 70s. And like I said earlier, the whole thrust of the nonviolent section of the civil rights movement was to, let everybody see our humanity and be, show everybody that we can make coalitions with everybody else. And I think they still operate on that model. And unfortunately, until they get voted out, which I don't see happening until you mount serious, vigorous campaigns against them, I don't see that changing. They're worried about keeping their seats for 40 and 50 years, like Feinstein out in California, who's 98 years old. That has to change. We have to have new blood and start thinking black first. And there are black first candidates out there. It's just that they have to scratch and, hustle for every dollar because the establishment party won't fund them.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you, brother. Shout out to Tim Black. I see him in the Facebook space. Let me see who else we got up in here. Let me get True Words again. See if we can get you on this time. True Words, you got the microphone.
Thank you so much. And as someone else said, thank you for holding this. I agree with what Terrence just said, but I also agree that, sorry, I was walking upstairs. I also agree that where's our boycott? If we know that the Asian community is X, Y, and Z against us, where's our boycott? Are we so tethered to these materialistic things? Are we so tethered to Nike? All these companies that want nothing to do with us in any position of management, authority, and so on, because that would change our beauty standard, our things. Yeah. Many of these legislative people literally know that they put Asian businesses in black communities and so on and so forth, and then there's nothing.
And
go on.
And let's talk about that from this perspective, because people will often say that how come black folks couldn't put businesses in their own communities? You can't blame Asians for that. Yes, you can, because what happened was the banks that redlined black businesses and would not give them loans to start businesses in their own neighborhoods turned around and gave Asian business owners loans to open up businesses in black neighborhoods. That's the reality of what happened.
Down and they know how to commodify, and they know where the money is going, and they know within our community. But we have to get uncomfortable with our buying of things from people that we know don't want any part of us. That would change a mindset. This beauty standard that we have in our community, it was given to us by an industry that makes money off of us, that has nothing to do with us. Okay? And that whole industry has nothing to do with us. It wants nothing to do with us. From the nails to the hair to the this, the black barbershop, we can barely get funding for that in our community.
Right.
But we can get funding for all of these, businesses by people who, when we set up a business, they never waltz in. So why are we going there? Are we so complacent in our complicity? And we have to ask ourselves, are we complacent in our complicity? Nike wants nothing to do with you, but because your mindset is, I have to have that, then they have won.
Yeah.
That certain businesses, Gucci, Coach, all of those things, these are racist businesses that want nothing to do with you, but it's an extension of, oh my God, I'll feel better. Our boycott, they have spent 40, 50 years, and I'm a social scientist,
making sure that Black money leaves our hands. And if we don't get smart, now I'm not talking food and essential things, don't get me wrong. I'm talking extra things that we are putting and giving leverage and money to organizations and groups. You might see a Black basketball player, quote, at Nike, but never forget, Michael Jordan saved that entire company. He don't own it. He don't own half of it. He don't.
Brother,
So
you preaching.
when we have all of those businesses that we're interacting with, but many of us, we have our standard of beauty and we have our standard of, quote, wealth that we will never. A boycott requires, as my granddaddy would say, bed sores are comfortable until you move. And if you're not willing to get out and do something different, go to your city council, go to your school board, then they have won. Because I hear a lot of, respectfully, grievance politics where it's after the fact. And if we're just going to sit back, white people go to school boards and city councils, if we're just going to sit back until another dead body hits the street and then we protest, they have won. If you're not going to your school board, if you're not going to your city councils, they have won.
Brother,
they have won because your complicity is their permission.
I appreciate you, brother.
I hear a lot of Black people, respectfully, I'm going to say this, who will cap off on somebody online and bring it up and go crazy, but they don't have that smoke for white person to go down and say why my school is not performing. They will cap off on a Black person online or in person, but they don't have that because you know what? You're broken. And I'll say it. You won't put your fight where your fight needs to be. You'll fight a shadow before you fight the real boogeyman. And I'll land with that.
All right, brother. I want to pass the plate. I'm not sure how many would give in the offering. Let me go to the phone line real quick. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, you're on the air. Okay, the caller don't want to say nothing. So we go, let's see. I got about 4 minutes. Let me see who I can get here in the space. Some of y'all been waiting. Let me get Michael in the space. Michael, you got the microphone. Come through, Mike. Mike, you got the mic. All right, y'all got to move quick because I'm out of time. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Okay, I guess somebody playing on the phone. It's too late in the day to be messing around like that, y'all. Come on now. Concerned Black American. Concerned Black American, you got the microphone. Unmute your mic.
Good morning, Bishop.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me on this stage.
You got 40 seconds. Go ahead.
Is the current woke agenda, and that it is inherently anti-Black American family and inherently anti-American. I'm sure that's no news to all of your audience.
All right. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, real quick, hashtag bankrupt every Asian business. It's time to get these yellow cowards out of our neighborhoods.
Okay. Tell us how you really feel. Tell us what you're really thinking. Vote Constance. You got the microphone. You got 30 seconds. Holler at me. Unmute.
Yes, thank you so much, Bishop, for the opportunity to speak. I was just going to say that I just feel like what Tori has already brought up is that we ourselves have to stop falling in the trap of the anti-Black agenda. As he pointed out about how a boycott was trying to be organized by some Black folks when Asian business had brutally attacked a Black woman. And then as soon as they offered free weave, we were lining up around the block. And I just think that it's always the dangling carrot that we seem to constantly fall for. It's like tokenism, Black faces in high places, Black faces, white supremacy are constantly also the agents that we are galvanizing around too. We uplift these people and then find out later or after the fact that these are the very people who have been obstructing our communities and our movements within our communities because we trust them because they look like us, even though they're really agents for the people that are very much against us and the oppressors of us.
All right. Appreciate you, sis. Good morning, caller. You the last one. Speak. All right. Caller don't want to say nothing. All right. Guardians, you're the last one. I wish I had time for all of y'all, but I got to move on. Guardians of Greatness, unmute. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You got about 10 seconds.
Okay. I'm recommending that we get all the young influencers who are promoting Fashion Nova and all these other brands to spend just 1 month promoting Black businesses. And then that would create a tremendous influx. Okay, that's it.
All right. All right. Good point. There's a challenge out there. All y'all Fashion Nova-us promote some Black business. Listen, I got to get out your way. Coming up next is Mid-Morning Jazz. Great Black music is about to happen here at the station. We'll continue this conversation on Friday. Tune in again with me on Friday at 9 a.m. on the Black Love Experience. If you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts, 11 o'clock a.m. on Sunday morning. And until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. Peace and blessings.